Hey there. I think we're about ready to go. Got a few folks tuning in still. Let's see if I can get a couple things set up here real quick. We need to make sure some of these background apps are working. Hey, Bruno's here. Hey, Bruno. All right. And we want to turn that light this way so we get a little bit more light on my face. How you doing, friends? It has been a crazy Tuesday here at the Fritz family house. Whew, lots going on, lots happening. Countdown to the winter holiday is here, and oh man, so much going on. 4A6D65. Sounds like I don't know what. I'm not quite sure what that is. Welcome. Thank you for joining me over there on Mixer. And hello there, Twitch. So Bruno's on both. How's that working? Am I getting full chat from both? It looks like it. All right. So welcome. Welcome back to the stream. This is me. This is Jeff Fritz. My name is Jeff Fritz, and I'm back again talking about all the cool things we can do with .Net. I am a program manager from Microsoft, but this isn't a Microsoft-sponsored stream. This is just me making myself available to talk to you as we work on a couple projects. Maybe we learn a couple things, and get to move forward a little bit here. Advance ourselves, right? Sharpen our saw. So I don't really have any housekeeping this week. Thank you for following me here to this later time. I know it's a big shift. I'm not expecting everybody to come over here and be hanging out here tonight because it is. I normally broadcast in the morning, so I'm not sure how many folks are going to be able to catch up. 2 tabs, 1 per monitor. Wow, double the Jeff. Okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't see. Did my post go out announcing that the stream was live? Let me just check real quick over here on Twitter. I just want to make sure that we did announce that we're live. My service is supposed to do that for me, but I just want to check. Yep, it did go out. So we'll see if anybody joins in here on this Tuesday evening East Coast time here outside of Philadelphia. So we've been working on a couple projects here. I've actually got a couple folks that are interested in joining in, and I think on Saturday morning we're gonna have Iris join us, Iris Klassen join us for a talk, and we'll go through and we'll look at. I think we're going to end up looking at some of the things with how to make the stream work, how to do this whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. I want to take a look at see. I think we've got some pull requests out there we want to address here right off the top, and I think we also want to take a look at actually setting up a Docker image and a Docker repository for where that rundown application was for seeing some place that we can pull down those images and run them anywhere. So I think that's where I want to jump in at. Cornius Door 52, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Following me on Mixer, I thank you for the follow. We're going to, I think I had a couple questions here also on the chat while we weren't broadcasting. Maybe I better create a service, an all-around, and then I can, as an all-around for the streaming platform services. Create a service class to manage all the streaming platform services that does the sum calculation for the rundown project. It may be better I create that wraparound service so the controller is clean. Okay. We'll take a look at that when we get into that project. And Windows Phone hat. Yes, Crankinator. Windows Phone hat. Today's hat is a Windows Phone hat from, I forget which tech ed. It might have been 2012. maybe 2013. I was a big fan of Windows Phone. I never wrote any applications for it because it was XAML, and I'm not very good on XAML. I'm all thumbs when it comes to XAML. I look at angle brackets there and attributes, and I wonder where my divs and spans are, and they're just not there. So Windows Phone, while I enjoyed it, I really loved the hub concept, and the people hub there was terrific. Being able to pin right to my start screen an icon that was everything that I was communicating with my family, whether it was Facebook or text messages or emails. I had it all in one place. I didn't have to bounce through 6 different apps. That was great stuff. I really enjoyed that, but it was not to be. I know they're still doing things with Windows, the Windows 10 Mobile. I'm not on the Windows team. I have no insight into what's going on there, but I've seen some of the folks online, some of the analysts talk about some of the new things they're seeing with patent registrations, copyrights that are being filed around something new in device space. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not anywhere related to those teams. But if something does come out, a new instance of Windows Phone, I'm eager to see what they do. So that's where we are with today's hat. A little bit about what's going on. I am running just a little bit behind here. Let me make sure. Yep, good. All right, let me roll over here and let's look at GitHub, see if there's any pull requests we can address. Re-IPO. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And he's over there on Mixer. They're over there on Mixer. Gosh, I don't know if it's a guy or a gal joining in, but thank you for joining us. I'm going to just clean up my browser here. And let me change over. There we go. Now look at that. I'm in the web. Let's take a look at what's going on GitHub, see if we have some pull requests to address before we get into the project. So first, I'm going to start at configuration builders. I have 2 issues here. I don't have any pull requests. I don't think I have any comments. No new comments going on over here. That's okay. We will come back to that project. I'm not quite sure. Might be another week or so before we get into there. Let me go over to Epic Build Music. So this is our Visual Studio extension that'll play music while builds are taking place here. I have a new icon repository issue here from Check Digits, and there's a pull request adding localization to the menu too. Ooh. I've added localization to labels previously. Now I was able to localize the menu name general to, the Brazilian Portuguese. Oh, very cool. Okay, took me a while to master how to do it properly. Had to rename VS Package ResX to VS Package EN. Ah, okay. Not sure what I got wrong, but it didn't work before that. I also had to figure out how to use page name resource ID from provide option. Oh, let's take a look at the code you wrote here, Bruno. Thank you for the pull request. I really appreciate it. Organic IT. Hey, great to see you here on this fine, it's probably just the afternoon out there on the West Coast. So let's see. This is the pull request from Bruno. So providing an option page, changed it to a resource ID of 100. Yeah, compliments to Bruno here. Let's take a look. So we removed, so it wasn't just the generic package.resx because it's now a language specific package. So we have an English one and then we have the Portuguese one, and that's the language identifier before the .resx file. So Visual Studio and .NET knows how to pick those up and automatically handle it. Build music package extension. Oh, okay. Change to Epic build music extension. Thank you. And change the value down here also. Cool. Okay. That works for me. And then here's the Portuguese resource. And there's the schema. Right? Reader, writer. And there's the values. Cool. Easy enough. Just, yeah, you're right. It's just a question of finding the right place to land those values. And I don't think the tooling does a easy job. Does a good job of making that easy to be able to tell and do. That might be something we can improve. So, let's merge it. Let's get that localization merged in there. So if let's see, where is it? I don't want to review changes. I should be able to, right? Just squash and merge. Yep, that's fine. So I'm just going to confirm it, and it's going to merge that into my dev branch. So let me check out the dev branch, and let's make sure that it still builds and looks good. So I'll open my command prompt, and I am going to go to dev Fritz epic build music. Am I on the dev branch here? Yep. I am not tracking that icon. That's okay, because that's the icon that I'm using in the marketplace. That's fine. So let me do a git pull, and I should get, I get a couple updates, but importantly here I get that rename to the .en, and I get the new Portuguese package there. Cool. Okay. Let's open this in Visual Studio and see what it looks like. File, recent projects. There's that bug. There we go. And epic build music. All right. No coffee for me here this time because it's so late, and it's after dinner. I don't want to be drinking coffee this late at night. So let's take a look. Now, look at that. See, because I moved my Solution Explorer right above me here. Right, this looks a little bit better, a little bit easier because my code over here won't be overlaid with my face. So, build music package. So there's that and all the events and things going on in it. And then resources, right? Shouldn't I see that? Right, it was, the file that we merged there was VS package. Shouldn't I? There it is. So there's VS package EN, VS package PT. Fantastic. Let's make sure they're the right types, right? That they're still marked as, they should be marked as embedded resources. Yep, embedded resource do not copy. And the English one, of course, is embedded resource do not copy. Fantastic. So I should be able to rebuild this. And just to be safe, I will run all the tests. Well, I think I have it configured to run all the tests automatically when it finishes. So let's take a look at the test window. Right? Show me that test window. Now it's over here. I don't want it over there. I want it over here. Make sure those all run, and then I think we can ship another version of this, and then we can take the icon from check digits, from Ian as his real name, and update that also. So all the tests ran well. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to flip this to release, and I'm going to put a 3.1 on this. Save. I should probably put that version number into all the properties. Now, you know what? This assembly version and file version is shared pretty much across everything. I could put that in a comment solution info class file and share that back and forth across there. This is interesting. I've got, it says 7 folks on Mixer, 6 on Twitch, and I'm seeing no chatter on Twitch. That's pretty interesting to me. All right, I can work with that. So, let's move this assembly file version because I want to keep all these assemblies on the same version. I'm going to add a new file over here. I'm just going to put a C# over here. There's Twitch chat. Hey, Grace Al. All right, so let me just put a C# over here, and I will call this solution info. All right, because it's kind of like assembly info, but it's more for the solution. And I am just going to, let me just grab the assemblies out of this file. And you know what? Hang on. Oh, no, I've done it. That's fine. Let me make sure I grab all of that. I'm going to go over here to solution info, paste that in. I think I also need, I need some of these in there also, just to be safe. All right. So now that solution info is actually outside of our projects. I'm going to bring that in as a shared object inside of each one of my projects, and then I can increment my version number in one place, and it'll be the same across all of my projects. So I'm going to add an existing item. I'm going to come up here. There's solution info CS. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to say add as link. And that comes in and it's down here. It's not under our properties. That's okay. So what am I working on? Grace Al asks. This is a Visual Studio extension called Epic Build Music. Epic Build Music is an extension for Visual Studio 2017 that allows you to play music while your project is building. So Crankinator's right. So we're going to merge this pull request in, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier while I'm here to manage my versions of these projects. So I'm also going to do this to assembly info over here. Grace Al, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. We're going to get into some ASPNet Core and Docker in just a minute or two here when I get on the other side of putting these changes in here, and then we'll deploy. The test isn't part of this. I don't need to worry about that. I don't actually deploy that. So I'm going to go into solution here, and I'm going to rename these to one. I'm going to update the version number to 031. Save that, and right, both my assembly infos don't have that. That's good. So we'll save that. All right. I think I'm ready to mark this as release and actually build a build the V6 here and push that up there. Hells to the yes. That's right, Crankinator. Here we go. All right. So built. Yep, rebuild all succeeded. And now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to reach into that issue here. So Ian, Check Digits, he has a updated icon. He smoothed out the original icons, flattened out the gradient fills. Let's take a look-see here at what the new PNG looks like. That's not bad. That's a little bit better. Right, I'm going to zoom out. Yeah, we're pretty good there. So I'm going to download this. I'm going to save that image. I'm going to put it in Epic Build Music. And I actually have a folder here called Images. There it is. So I will overwrite that one. Yep, replace it. And then I also need to resize it to 128 by 128 so that we can use that in on the marketplace. That's what it's called. Yeah, I knew there was a thing there. All right, so I'm back into this folder, into doc, images. So there's the 128, and there's the new PNG that we have. I'm okay with the ICO. So I'm just going to edit this. Here I am in trusty old Paint. Loving Windows Paint here, because I can just go to, which one is it? Where's the resize? This one? Yeah, resize. And I'm just going to change this to 128 by 128. Done. Save as, replace the 128 one. Mixer, JWZ, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the stream here tonight. So now I've got my 128. It's the right size and everything. So let's actually, is the 128? Is that referenced here? There's the ICO. Let me look at. So we have this V6 manifest. See this here? This is actually the properties. Wrong window. This is actually the properties of the application, the Visual Studio extension that are going to be made visible to everybody when they install it. So my icon file is correct, that ICO file. And yeah, that image doesn't get included here. It's when I upload it to the repository. So I'm going to go to the Visual Studio Marketplace, which I believe is, marketplacevisualstudio.com. I'm already signed in. I should have a way here to view my... No, I don't want to be over in VSTS. No, I don't want to be in VSTS. I want to manage my extensions. Publish extensions? Ah, there it is. There's Epic Build Music. Look at that. 6 installs. Massive install base. Most popular. Look at that. 5-star ratings. It's amazing. Let's edit the extension here, and we'll push up this new version. So we will call this 031. I'm going to update the logo. Let's go to here, doc, images, and my new image. That's much better. And let's see. I need to actually give it the binary. Where's the binary? I want to upload. Where's my upload? I don't see the upload. Where's the upload area? I thought there was an upload here. Oh, it's right there. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And it's pulling it right out of the release location on GitHub. Sick user base. Thanks, Drew Boy. Thanks. Added this image to the marketplace. Cool. So that's done. So let's so I've pushed this here into my dev branch. Let me add that tag. So if I look at my list of tags, I will add now v0.3.1. Cool. Let's do a git push. Right? Did I even commit everything? I didn't commit anything yet. Oh, that feels bad. Oh, that feels bad. Git tag, and I'm going to remove 031. That's not on the right place. So now let me go and add the new things that we put in here. So I'm going to add solution info, and then let's commit refactored into a solution info for file version. No, for assembly version. And then we yeah, let's just do that. All right, so we will git push, and now I'll git tag v031. Cool. And now I can git push tags, and now that 031 tag will be created for me up in GitHub. So now let's go take a look. I should have another release appearing here. Fantastic. Let me edit this. Edit? Where's the edit button there? Or is it? Yeah, I have to. See, I always get confused by this, right? So we'll call this updated localization. Updated the localization to include the options menu tree. And I'm going to attach my binary. So now the file that I built, which is here, bin, release, and where's my v6? There it is. So now I can just drag and drop it right here. Fantastic. Publish. And now I can copy this link, right? Go back over here. I'm going to update that. And I need to actually include, oops, wrong place. I need that link, not the link to this page, but the link to the actual file. So we'll do that. And I think we're ready to go. Save and upload. Bruno, I guess you will be required to add CS Proj as well, right? Because you added in those projects. Yes. Yes, yes. Right? So if you look at my commit here, right, I updated the CS Proj. That's okay. So that works. Yes, sick user base. Well played. Hey, the point was to make me a little bit happier. If other people download it and like it, that's great. And you know what? I learned a couple things about building a Visual Studio extension, and to me, that's kind of core to my learning. Is I'm not concerned about other folks downloading and using code that I write. It's something that helps make me happy, and if other people enjoy it, that's good too. So if I worried about whether people would buy it or use it, I would never write anything. I'd fall into what we call analysis paralysis, and I would try and find a market for anything before I would write a single line of code, and that just feels bad. All right, let's roll over now and do. So that's publish 031 is out there. That's fine. So we can leave that. This is updated, and I think we don't have any other issues that we want to address right now, because I want to get over to my ASPNet core project. So let me back out of this one, and I'm going to go over to, it's called Rundown right now, but based on some of those comments I saw over there in Mixer, I feel like this should be like Stream Tools or something, you know? Let's think about renaming this. What do you think? Should we rename it? Hell yeah, always be learning. I was just messing with you. That's okay. That's fine. I never thought about developing extensions to Visual Studio before. It was a really cool way to know how it works. You know what? It's amazing to me how simple it is to add on to Visual Studio. I say simple because it's just another project type, but when you get in there and you start seeing some of the how some of the API works, gosh, that can get crazy in there. So, you know, I think it's good to at least have a first time through, and it's a little intimidating to see that blank page of what do I do next, right? So, okay. Name of this project. It's becoming more than just a rundown of the stream. Should we call it something more like Stream Tools? All right. So I think that's something that's kind of on my mind. What do we do with this? The last thing I want to look at, I want to see if there's any questions or anything over here in the live stream repository. Pardon my butterfingers there. There's 13 issues out here. Debugging V6 unhandled errors. Ooh, Vortex. That sounds like a good question. I've been working on a V6 with Visual Studio 2015, and whilst the new extension installs, when the related window is activated, an error occurs that simply reads, "Exception has been thrown by the target of an invocation." Yeah. Somebody didn't give you a really nice error code there. This might actually be an error from the source code itself, or it might have been raised by Visual Studio. What's the best way to debug this kind of problem? I couldn't see anything in Event Viewer, but are there any logs out there I could be looking into? Are we able to attach a VS Debugger to the source code of the extension to the Visual Studio instance we're launching the window in to perform a step through? Good question, Vortex. So while I still have Epic Build Music open, let's take a look at this. Drew Boy says, a lot of legacy in ye olde VS object model. Yes. Have you messed with making a VS Code extension to see what that experience is like? Coming up. I think that's a great project that we should visit in January. I want to wrap up one or two things here, put them to the side, and we can look at building a Visual Studio Code extension, because I think that is going to be very compelling to look at and explore. So you know what? I just want to take a quick look at this, and I want to show how you can debug your V6 and see what's going on. Why isn't it working properly? So if I have my project in debug mode here, right? And let me close some of these. You can put breakpoints on things like your user controls that you're embedding as windows inside your project, right? So this is a user control that we're using, right? It's this user control right here. This is the user control that hosts the options for the options dialog. Now, it has a code behind just like any other Windows Forms user control, and I can put a breakpoint in here, and I can actually see and step through these things if I just press start, right? I'm debugging. It launches that experimental instance of Visual Studio that I can attach to step through, and I can break while I still have my debugger running over in Visual Studio Prime, I guess, right? Because this is, right, see, it even says here, experimental instance, and you've seen me do this debugging a couple times here, and I want to make sure that it's clear that you know and see and understand that this is, it's a version of Visual Studio that has all the PDBs and things out there so that you can step through and see exactly what your code is doing, and even a little bit of what Visual Studio's code is doing too. So I put those breaks on the user control, right? So when I go into Tools, Options, and when that user control is actually triggered because I go into my Epic Build Music option, I actually hit my breakpoints and I can look at the stack. I can actually look at the Visual Studio call stack that they've exposed to me down here, and even look at things like my error list and my output window, and I can see exactly what's going on because I've got full Visual Studio attached to my project, right? Because I'm running that inside of this experimental instance. So if I continue, and you see it steps down, and I can see full watches, I can do immediate window execution and really explore what's going on with my code inside Visual Studio. And that's kind of weird to be debugging Visual Studio with Visual Studio, but it works, and it works great. I encourage you to check it out. If you need to dig in a little bit further, follow up on the question here on GitHub. But I'm going to mark this as answered on the December 19, 2017 stream. Link to come to the video. All right. And that's at about, how far in are we? We're about 35 minutes into the video. About 35 minutes in. All right. And I'll close that out when I finish out my my summary blog post here for what exactly we covered. So thanks, Vortex, for the question there. I really appreciate it. And if you have any, if you folks have questions, stuff you want me to answer in a future stream, drop me a line here in the Fritz live stream repository. Of course, if you have questions you want me to answer here now when you're in the chat room, drop a line into either chat, whether it's Twitch or Mixer, and we'll answer those questions for you right here, and I'll even throw together a sample if I need to demonstrate exactly what's going on. All right, so I am going to close out of that for right now, and I'm going to run back over to the Rundown project. And I'm going to close this project and actually open the Rundown project here inside of Visual Studio. It has live unit testing for me here, but there isn't actually anything over there. So no, don't start that, just close. Now let's go back over here. So where we left off last time, we had connected a couple of services, a couple of service classes, and I called them service, but it's really more of like a client that's connecting out, and it's inspecting the Twitch API and inspecting the Mixer API to get my total number of followers. And it's making those available through an API object. And as I'm through an API controller. And as I'm looking around, just looking at the stream and some of the widgets that we have on the stream here today, you'll notice my number of followers up on the top over there is 172, but in the goal stream, the goal thermometer thing above there, it says 156. That's not right. That's nowhere near right. It didn't calculate that, right? So once again, this is something that I would love to be able to fix, but it's on a third party service, Streamlabs, and they do a great job making features like this available for streamers like me, but I can't fix it. It's not open source. It's not something I can log a pull request. I can open a ticket and somebody will review it and get back to it, but I know how to fix this. I'm a web developer. And it's just embedded on top of, right? It's just a browser source that's embedded on my video. So how do we do that? How do we get into this and look a little bit further at it? So let's look at some of the code that we have here. This is my API controller here on the right. Let me show you a little bit of what's going on here. The API, now that feels bad. Scroll, resize, come on. No. Fine. Let's see if we can move this into a new vertical tab group. Still not going to resize for me. That feels annoying. So how much do you guys really like seeing me find things like this in Visual Studio and go, ha! Look at that, Fritz has the same problem I do. The API controller is over here, and it's listening on this route because of this route attribute. It's listening on API/items, okay? And if we go to that location, and then if we perform one of these HTTP verbs, get, post, put, or delete, it will actually trigger these methods inside the API controller. And really, what we're concerned about for, well, in this case, this is looking at rundown items. We're really just getting those and updating them with different values that we want to put in. The thing that I'm dealing with these followers, because I want to make that followers count up there a little bit easier to manage, right? Right now, I've mentioned before, I've got this Stream Labels app that runs in the background, and it shows me, here's the folks that have followed, and when this updates, it generates a new text label that is automatically put in the corner of the screen there. And that's annoying. I want that to happen automatically. I don't want to be saving files to disk. Calculate it and put it up there, and it's only putting my Twitch numbers up there. And I had my ticket closed by the folks at Streamlabs because I asked them, hey, it would be great if I chose the combined one, the total followers, they would show me the total up there. Synth Trash. Sin the Trash? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining me here. We're working on a little ASPNet core, and we'll hopefully be able to update the stream tonight and put this into a Docker container and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I want to put the number up there that's the sum of my Twitch service follower count and my Mixer service follower count. Why not? I want to generate that number and put it up there. So if I go to my followers controller, now this is a controller, right? In ASP.NET Core, we have controllers, right? We don't have MVC controllers and API controllers. It's one controller object, and it can take both actions as locations that I can browse to, or I can also put HTTP verbs in here and listen to that same location. So right now I have this as an index location, and it's returning just an int. I could certainly change this to get, and if I navigate to followers, it'll return to me this data, right? So let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to click this Fritz Rundown button, and it's going to build and run my application using the Kestrel web server for ASP.NET Core and launch here in my browser. And you couldn't see it. It went by really fast, but there's my Kestrel web server running. Now, Mixer has a funny thing where when I connect to it, it's forcing my browser to allow me to access this. This might be a problem at some point, but I am getting this proper approved. That's good for me. And here's my initial location with my rundown, but I want to look at followers. And when I browse there, look at that. I'm not getting any data coming back, right? It's not listening. So let's take a look over here. Let's see what we can do. This was index. Now why isn't it actually doing the get and returning that? If I look at my API controller, right? So it's listening on API/items. I don't have it actually decorated with the get attribute. So let's do that. Let's put the get attribute on here. And you know what? I can't modify it because I have the debugger attached. So I want to show you a little trick. Now that I have HTTP GET on there, I want to be able to restart, and I actually want to update my application every time there's a change so that I can just keep refreshing my browser. Sin the Trash. Yeah, thanks. Sure, I will learn some nice snack. Cool. I'm glad you're here for the stream this evening. So I've put that on there, but I want to restart this every time there's a change. And I want to show you a feature called the Watcher that is available, and it doesn't come by default with an ASPNet core project. So I'm going to edit my CS proj here, and I'm actually going to add a new .NET CLI tool reference. Now, if you've done node development, right, you have in NPM, you have the ability to have dev tools, right? And those tools that you add are only available when you're in development mode, and they can include things like gulp or webpack, because they're things you want to use to help your development experience, and then kind of release them. When you publish, don't include them with it. Well, this is something similar here. I'm going to update and add a feature into the .NET command line experience, but I don't want it to deploy with my project. It's not a hard dependency from my project. So I'm going to add a .NET CLI tool reference, and this is the only way to do it right now is through this interface. Yes, I've made a mistake. I can say include, and I should be able to start. There we go. I can start finding my packages that I want to add here. Microsoft dot, and I want to find the Watcher, and I forget what it's called. Is it .NET? It's Watcher tools. There it is. So check out the little command line helper above me there. Command line tool to watch for source file changes during development and restart the .NET command. That's exactly what I want. So I'm at version, and then my version should be, give me that 2.0 version. Save, and behind the scenes, you can't see it here because it's behind my thick head. Visual Studio restored that object for me. So I'm going to close that CS proj, and notice I didn't have to unload my project in order to be able to modify my project file, okay? That's pretty cool. That's a new feature that comes with the .NET Core project types, right? We call them the SDK project types. So now, over here inside my command window, right? Give me a new line there. And let me go into Fritz Rundown, all right? And let me go into the Fritz Rundown project. There it is. So now I would normally run my project and run it inside the Kestrel web server by saying .NET run, right? And it's going to go through and set up some of these things. It's the first time I've run .NET run in a while, so it's going to come through and make sure that everything's set up properly. There's my Mixer authentication again. Thank you. And it's running my application. Okay, that's fine, but it's not doing that watch where if something changes, it's going to restart things. I'm going to have to go through this every time. What you can do now, because I added the watch CLI tool in there, I could say .NET watch run. Now I can put any verb after watch, and watch will trigger that verb, and whenever there's a change in one of my source code files, it'll stop that verb's process and relaunch it. So I can also say .NET watch test, and anytime there's a change to one of my tests, it'll stop the test process and rerun it again. So I'm going to say .NET watch run, and you'll see here the watch is going to start, and then see watch started, and then it's going to start my web server. Here it comes. There's my navigation to the mixer. Good. And it's now listening on 59.201. Fantastic. So I'm going to refresh my browser over here, and I'm still not getting what I want when I go to this location, and that feels bad. What did I do wrong? I feel like I've messed up here. So let's put, you know what? I'm going to put an HTTP GET on this, and I'm going to have it, I can actually specify, I believe I can specify, there it is, my template. So let's have it go to API followers. And now if I save this, I've changed a file. Check out my watch command. It exited because it saw a file changed, and now it's restarted, and here I go again. So now if I change this and go to API followers, now I get my data. Fantastic. So that's weird that because I didn't have a specific route specified here, it wasn't actually triggering it. You're right, Bruno. If I didn't have this in here, just to answer Bruno's question there, what happens if I had gone to follower/get? So there you go. Kestrel's restarting. Mixer is reattaching. So if I go to API followers, well, that's not where it's located now. It's not at followers, it's actually listening on the get action. So because I didn't specify HTTP GET and a path that it was listening on, it behaved like an MVC action. Does that make sense? Versus by specifying this, right, I get it now listening and responding exactly where I want it to be. And there we go. There's Mixer. Thank you. Right, and go to API / and I get it responding. Fantastic. That's right where I want it to be. Okay, so let me go. Where am I going to go here? Let's think this through. So I've now got that total sitting there, and that's nice. That does its thing. You know what I didn't do? You know what I didn't start? No, I looked at this last week. I mentioned this a couple times to the folks on the stream. I wanted to launch Karnak, and I wanted Karnak keys running in the background here because I want you to be able to see when I use some of the hotkeys as I'm interacting with Visual Studio. So Karnak will actually pop the hotkeys down here as I'm executing them. Pretty cool, huh? And I didn't have to fix it because I'm remoted into another machine, and this machine only thinks there's one display. So I didn't have to fix anything because it's all just appearing here on one screen. So that's pretty cool. And now you'll be able to see as I hit these different hotkeys in Visual Studio. All right, so I've got my follower count. I can use that as an API to feed into my OBS where I have my followers count up there. But I'd really like that to be that formatted string. And that formatted string, gosh, it gets saved out to a file is the way that Streamlabels does it. So I'm trying to think, do I want it to either echo that format, and then I might have to push in the format that I want to say followers : or, and then style becomes a question because OBS right now is just loading a block of text and formatting the text. Or do I write this out to a file and then just update that file whenever it changes? So right now I'm facing a design issue. Which way do I go? Where do I want this to land? Curious. While I'm thinking about that, this is music to code by playing in the background. This song is called Green, and it was released in 2015 by Carl Franklin. So let me think. How do we want this to be? If I save it as a text file, then you can still format your text file however you'd like. You could format your text because it's just including and painting that on the screen. But if I make it a browser thing, then you're going to have to inject some CSS to format the text. I think I want to make it a browser thing for right now. Just because I'm already knee-deep in web stuff. What do you think? Can I get some feedback from the chat room? Should I write this to disk whenever there's a change? Or if it's a web thing, I can just point OBS at that location that my container is hosting. I think I want to make it a web thing. If I'm making it a web thing, then I want to output a format, and I probably want to put some CSS to it, which means I'm going to turn this from an API then into, or I can, you know what, I can still leave this as an API. You know what? Let's add an action to this. And this actually was a question, I think. Is this the question that you had, Crankinator? How do you mix API with MVC actions? Let's do that. I think you had this question. And let's just call this count. And I just want to return a view, and I'm going to pass it that total count. And I'm going to come back to that other question that we had in Mixer. I will paste that there. That's actually working out really nicely with Karnak putting the values there. Bruno says, I would go web because it's more flexible regarding the format you want to display the content. I agree with you. It's also flexible in how I host it, because that text file needs to be local to the machine that OBS is running on. In this way, if it's web, I can host that container either on my OBS machine, or I can even put it out on Azure or somebody else's cloud and let it run out there and monitor things, and then let somebody else handle the processing. So I think you're right, Bruno. Let's stick with it as a web thing. So here I'm returning a view. Now that view, look at that. Now you're even going to know when I'm paranoid and saving. That view's got to come out of a views folder. So let's add a views folder. And this is the followers. So I'm going to need to add a folder called followers. Feels bad. Nope. F2. There we go. Followers. And this is called count. So I will create a view called count. Empty without model. Sure. Don't have a layout page. Don't want a layout page because I just want to output this text. So let's add that. Feels weird that it's scaffolding for just a little view that I'm putting here. And hey, whatever. But it still feels bad. Look at that, 157, 173. What's with that? Failed to build the project. No, you stink. It's because this is still running over here. Let's cancel that. So now add that. So it can't build the project while it's still got the project in watch mode in the background. All right. So here we go. I have no layout. That's fine. Head viewport. I don't need that. And I don't need a... let's leave a title on this in case somebody navigates to it. Ooh, that's not how you spell follower. Follower count. Yeah. And now, let's just put my follower count as something like this. And it's on my stream, it says followers, and then I have that value. So, the value that we're pushing right now is this... And that's my model. My model is an int. So let's make the model... nope, wrong model. Int. Cool. So then I can just say @model. Right? Must appear at the start of the line. Nope, wrong model. Ugh. Ugh. Alright. That looks good. So now... I should be able to navigate to /followers/count and get my code, get my count coming back. So I'll do my .NET watch run. Let this spin up here. And let's roll over to... Yes, there goes Mixer. Thank you. And this is an address that I had keyed in for my Mixer configuration. I should probably tell it where it should actually go back to. Chaos Theory 34, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Joining us over there on Twitch. Let me clip that out and make this count. Navigating to that, and fantastic. All right, so I've got it formatted the way I want it to, and it's 218. It's the sum of my followers on Twitch and on Mixer. Fantastic. That's what I want. So let's look at formatting that, right? So this is where I need some CSS help, folks. Let's see if we can... I'm going to move Visual Studio just a little bit here. See if I can put these two side by side. I'm kind of going off layout, off script here. So, because I'm running with the watch command, I don't have browser link attached. I think I want to use browser link for this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cancel this. And I'm actually going to start this from over here. Now, browser link is a feature that's embedded in Visual Studio that as it sees changes to my Razor files or to my CSS files, it will automatically push those changes to the browsers that are attached and watching. So let me go over here to this. And I just did a Control-R to force the refresh. Now, if I mouse over this, check this out. This is the browser link button, and it's showing there's one browser connected, and it's looking at the count page. Fantastic. So now I can start writing some style into this. Okay? So now, how do I want this to look? So if I say H2, I should be able to say something like font family, Arial. And if I save that, see it updates automatically up there inside my browser. Cool. Now inside, oh no, Karnak broke. Oh no, Karnak, come back. Karnak, come back. What is this? What are you over there? My webcam software. Nice. Somebody doesn't know how to work with scaling. Restart Karnak. We want to see those. Now, I know looking at OBS, my follower, not my follower goal, but my follower count is this one here. I'm going to take a look at the properties of it here in OBS, and I'm using Arial. Here, let me see if I can drag this up. Yeah, look at that. There's some OBS config for you, all scaled improperly. So it's Arial, and I'm pulling it from this file that I saved to disk, but the color I'm using is this blue, and I have a gradient overlay on it. And then I've got a outline. Now the outline is actually the same font, but duplicated and just a little bit bigger underneath of it with a different color. So, look at that. All right, so let's start off. Don't I even specify the font size? What's the font size? Didn't I specify the font size? There it is. I used Arial 24 point. All right, so let's do that. Arial, then we'll say font size 24 point. Right, saving that and sure updates successfully. All right, now the color was not that. Over here, let me go back into my follower count. The color was actually the color is 00. Come here, you. 00 fox 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 fox, and then it was actually an extra fox fox on the end. Yeah, but that's actually white, right? If I do a select color here, yeah, that's actually white. So I'm just gonna choose it here in the little picker, and I can even cheat and push that down to just 3 foxes. All right, now my gradient. Now, how do you do a gradient? How do you do a gradient in CSS? I don't remember how to do the gradient in CSS. What do we want to do here? How should we do this? Let's grab Firefox. I'm just going to open Firefox up a little bit here. And let's just do a quick search about doing a CSS gradient. There we go. So, wow, that's easy. Linear dash gradient. Okay. And it's from one color to another. So let's give that a shot. But don't I need to specify direction and some other things? All right, let's give. Oh gosh, how am I going to do that? Can I just say gradient? Right, and then right, what do I have the green underline for? It's not valid for the color property. There's a generator after it and another intro article after. You're right. Let's take a look at what ColorZilla does here for me. Fancy. But this looks like it's not doing it on a font. It looks like it's doing it on a just on a block here, right? And I want to do it on text. So let's back up one here. The generator does seem a bit much. What does this one do? Yeah, see, it's great for a background, but I need it for a foreground. Using CSS gradients in the MDN docs. Come here, you. Let's see. Basic linear gradient as a background, but I want it as the font color. Can I do that? Overlaying gradients, linear gradient, using radial gradients. No, I want a linear gradient. Oh, look at that. And there's direction. So what happens if I change this to linear gradient, right? Just like that? Yeah, that looks right. And there's a degrees. So which direction is that? I have mine at 270 degrees. So let's put 270 DEG. And then there's two colors, and then I guess that's the opacity. So I have mine going from white. So that was pound, fox, fox, fox. And then the second color was, well, I have set as, let's see, 1500, fox, fox. So it's this blue, right? That's the blue you see up there in the followers. And then the last thing it looks like here is the percent opacity. And inside the settings I have here, I have it at 92% opacity. So I'm just going to key in 92%. Let's see what that does. So save that. My follower count, look at, did nothing. And Karnak stopped working again. Karnak doesn't like working over this remote desktop thing, does it? So that's not working as a foreground, right? CSS gradient, let's say CSS gradient font color. Let's see if I can get that. How do I use gradient as a font color in CSS? Ask and you shall receive. You can use multiple spans that are positioned on top of each other to assign a different height and color to each one of them. Ugh. It's really ugly coding-wise. Thanks. Position absolute. Ugh. I got the answer. Check here for more details at Bagnall Co. UK. Gradient text. Unfortunately, only WebKit browsers implement text fill color. There's no workaround for Mozilla yet, and this is in 2014. Background text fill color transparent. Let's see. Oh, here comes some of the comments. Generator seems. Oh, so this is Chris. Hey, Chris, good to see you here again. CSS tricks, snippets, CSS gradient text. Let's take a look at CSStricks.com. Snippets, CSS gradient text. Let's see what we got here. Hey, they're fancy. So let's try that. So background WebKit linear gradient. I am failing the front end dev interview. No, you're fine. So let's do that here. All right. So that's WebKit stuff. And I was going, so this is the gray at the bottom. I have the blue at the top of mine. And that blue, again, is 1500 fox fox. And I'm ending with the white at the bottom. There we go. And let's see what happens now when I go over to Firefox. Hey, that now we're getting somewhere. Now, that says Arial, but that really doesn't look like Arial up top there, does it? Yeah, hey, you know what? We're all learning the front-end interview stuff here all at the same time. I'm okay with that. So if I want an outline for this, right? I'm going to want the exact same size. I'm going to want the exact same thing, but positioned exactly behind it. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So let's call this, and you know what? Let's change this from an H2. Let's make this a span, and let's call this foreground, and we'll call this outline, right? So this is foreground, and we're gonna want to put a hash in front of that, and then for the outline, We're also going to want to say position absolute, right? Z index, because we want to make sure we order this appropriately. We want this at the top. So, right, Z index goes 0, is it 0 to 1? 0 to something. I'm going to make it really big. Stroke width, WebKit text, stroke color, black. Oh, look at that. Bruno, I think you've got the ticket there. Let's try what Bruno's suggesting here. So he's suggesting WebKit, look at that, text, stroke, right? Stroke width, right? And 1 pixel, because my outline is 1 pixel. And then WebKit, no, not website. Text, stroke color, and then what color is my outline? What color did I make my outline? Shorthand works too. Oh, that's awesome. So, stroke, and then be able to say 1px, and then the color, just like you would if it was a border. Really? All right, let me look at, where's my outline? Where'd my outline go? Why am I missing outline? Outline size, outline color is white. All right, so if I do the same thing there, 1, 2, 3, save. Hey, all right, we're getting somewhere. It looks kind of cheesy. The gradient, oh, check that out. The gradient, it didn't apply to the inside only. It applied to the stroke outline also. So that's interesting. That's I think while I like this technique, I think it doesn't quite do what I'm looking for, and I think I'm going to go with my absolute positioning trick and actually put a larger block of text behind it that's the right size that I want, which is going to actually feel weird, isn't it? Because it's white. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what my way does here. So if I have outline, this is position absolute, top 10 pixels, left 10 pixels. I'm going to want the exact same position, right? There we go. Absolute, top 10 pixels. My dog is being awfully loud there in the hallway. And now I want the font size to be 1 point larger. So let's go 25 point. Font family, Arial, and Arial is so 2004. Ugh, I'm showing my age. And let me put my Z index up here, and I want this to be lower, so I'm going to make it 0. And yeah, you can't see it. You really can't see it. Let's make the color black, not fox. 3 zeros, and yeah, you can't see it. Bigger. Still can't see it. Feels bad, man. Well, you can't see it actually because I don't have the text in there yet, do I? Save that. Hey, there we go. Alright, so let me change this back to 25 point. Now it looks like a weird drop shadow. That feels really ugly, doesn't it? Alright. Lesson learned. I don't think I need the outline. Do I need the outline? Do I want the outline for what's embedded up there in my stream? Right, let's just clean that up. Do I need to make did I actually make this bold? Is my font bold? Let me look here. I'm looking back in in OBS. Here's OBS. Select that font. No, it's normal, but it's 24 point, and this doesn't look the same as that. It's like there's a different Arial back and forth. Ship it. Thanks, Chris. Discard. Discard. I don't... if I make that bigger, right? It doesn't... What if I made this Arial black? No, not that Arial black. Right? If I do it like that, that looks a little bit better. But it's more squat. It's not the same way that I liked it. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I get Chris saying ship it there. Get off the deal here and let's get this thing moving. Let's all right. Let's do this. What do we got here? Can't find a squirrel emote on Mixer, so we'll just use the ship it. Is that a panda? What is that? The ship it dog? All right. Change its weight to 600 to try. You want me to do that? All right. We'll give that a shot. Font weight 600. Save it. That's a little bit better. I do like that better. Still looks like it's kind of in a haze, and it's not over the white. Crankinator says, I know zero CSS. Text shadow. No. And I'm not really getting the... It does feel like it's kind of on a... like in a haze here. That's weird. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to my follower count here, and I'm actually gonna... Not the follower count. Bad choice. Is that disclaimer necessary? Does anyone really know CSS? I think Chris is referencing what is it? From Family Guy. Family Guy CSS this guy? Right? Do we all really know CSS? Or are we just doing this? I mean, honestly, this is what I feel like I'm doing right now, and why browser link is so important. Yep, got that working. The white kind of washes it out. I think you're right. So let's try changing it to my gray background. Background color, and I believe I'm using 333 as my background. Beautiful, beautiful. I like it. That's the way my father says beautiful. I don't know. All right, all right. That really works for me. So let's. There's one more thing that I want to look at here that could be a little bit tricky that we're going to need to handle. And that is if you take a look at my Twitch service, when a new follower is detected, I increment the current follower count. Okay? That's fine. But that doesn't push it into this page. So here's where I kind of want something like Signal R, so that it knows, so that it knows that there is a new follower count, and I want to push and update that when it changes. Now I could set up a timer and just fetch this value every however many seconds, and that feels weird. Crankinator, Signal R. I saw today on .NET Rocks fan page about .vvm. Have you or anyone watching ever used or read about it? It seems interesting. So .vvm is actually written by Tomas. Tomas, I'm forgetting your last name. the group that writes .vvm, it's a group. There's about a half dozen developers, really great folks. They're in Czech Republic, and they're building this framework to give you a web forms-like way to develop things. And it's the same framework. They've built a complete editor experience into Visual Studio and a compiler experience. It works great in both .NET Framework and in .NET Core. Pretty cool stuff. The guys that work on that project, they're MVPs. I encourage you to check it out. They've got some really neat stuff there. I don't think they hook up to SignalR like this and will allow you to do this type of thing. But it is an interesting framework. I encourage you to check it out. Should I set up I could even set up a meta refresh tag on this body to refresh this page every time there's a change. But I feel like I really want to use SignalR to push that into here. Tomas Herseg, that's his name. Tomas does a great job. He's very active in the community, and actually he started a little bit of a live stream working on just .vvm stuff himself. So I encourage you to check out his stream. He talks about it on his Twitter account. He's pretty easy to find. Let me think. How I want to get this into the container during this stream, and I want to get it to automatically update, and I want to start using this for the next stream. So what do I do? How should we do this? Speaking of .NET Rocks, before this stream, I spoke for an hour with the boys. I did an interview with Carl and Richard. You'll see that podcast. They'll publish that. I think they said the first week of January it'll be published. So keep an eye out for that. I'm talking mostly about ASP.NET Web Forms and the cool things that are going on there. I mentioned the stream on it a little bit and some of the things that we've been working on. And of course, configuration builders as well. SignalR to the rescue, Bruno says. I think you're right. I think we do need to put SignalR into this. But I'm not familiar with how they're using SignalR in the daily builds yet. I haven't used the new SignalR yet. So I worry about bringing that into the mix at this point. But we can give that a shot. So let me see here. Let me shut off. There it is. Let me stop my build. So we disconnect and we actually look at this. Maybe small increments. Do a refresh tonight and maybe iterate next time to SignalR. That's not a bad idea. In fact, maybe I can even grab. No, Fowler's at home. I won't be able to get him to join into a call. But I might be able to get somebody to help us out with this. Okay. I'm sold. Let's write just the simple refresh script right now to just refresh every couple seconds. So I've already got something written that does that. Gosh, made you look 237. Thanks for the follow over there on Mixer. And thanks a lot, Steve, for reminding us about developers. All right. So let me my rundown page is actually a Razor page here. And I've got some jQuery that's already embedded here that does some of this stuff. So let me grab my reference to jQuery and just my refresh here, and I'll kind of hack and slash to make this work the way I need it to inside my, where is it? Inside my other Razor file. Here we go. So let's just put this right here. And set interval Ajax URL. I'm not going to reference from API items. Actually, my count is right here. So let's just put another span on this, because it really is spans all the way down, isn't it? So let me copy that, paste that in there, and let's call this, let's actually call this count. And I'm going to go to API followers. I'm going to do a get there. And let's just always post that number into that location. So done data. So let's get rid of all that. Right? And actually, I don't even have to do a .ajax, right? Can't I do with jQuery? Isn't there a thing to load already in there? We'll do some SignalR. We'll get there, Crankinator. I think you're right. Let's take some baby steps here. Let's make the functionality work, and then we'll fix it next time. So we will just do a document get element by ID. See, I learned that from last time. Count, and we will set the text content, right? Equal to our data. And that should work. That should do what I'm looking for here. So let's give that a shot. All right. That got a little bit cranky there. That's fine. There's my mixer log on. Good. And here I'm going to go to followers. Yeah, count. There it is. Now it should be doing the refresh every, how many seconds? Every 5 seconds. And it sure looked like it did the refresh there. Let me open the debugger window here. Let's take a look-see. Exactly what's going on. That looks like it's working. And it's going and getting the follower count. And when I look at that, let's take a look at the response. And it's pulling back the number and it's inserting in there. Fantastic. All right. So I've got a very simple just refresh that's pushing this in there. And it's refreshing, gosh, 45 milliseconds, 23 milliseconds to run that. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's good. So now when my Twitch service, where is it? Twitch service. So when I get a new follower detected, it'll increment my current follower count, and that number will increase. I've got a problem where the mixer service, we had to kind of do this by hand, remember? We actually had to go reach out to it and get the number of followers, and I don't think we had an event that we could listen to on this one. The Twitch lib works with Mixer. It does not. And in fact, Chris, Space Shot, we had some of the folks from Twitch lib join the stream on Saturday morning, and they were working with us helping. I think there needs to be a Mixer.net API. Amen. I was on Twitter earlier today talking to some of those folks about getting an official API that has some of these features in it. And we'll see if I can connect with them, perhaps on the Microsoft back channels to talk about that. Maybe I'll even be able to get some of those folks on the stream and we can talk about it. So start async is connect to Mixer, and it just goes and fetches this. And it's Mixer connection is the object I have. I've been working with it, and was thinking it could be an open source project. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I don't see folks working on that just yet. And I don't see an event here that I can listen for that's being raised for the notification of new followers. So I think I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way and set up a timer on a background thread that fires a delegate to just check to see what that number of followers is. That could be a little crazy here. Let me allocate a timer, and let's start working on that. Timer equals new timer. Yeah, there we go. And I need to give it a callback. So we'll call this new follower check. And I'll just do a control period on that. Yep, generate that method. There's my method. And I want to generate this local. Nah, not a local. It's a field. Because I need it hanging around out there. I'm pretty sure in reality you connect to a WebSocket server and you get channel events. I think you're right. But I'm not. This this API that I'm using from, gosh, this is a NuGet package from somebody that's doing this. They're not exposing that capability. Right, if I say mixer dot base dot, I have a mixer connection. Interactive lets me actually interact with the interactive capability. If I say service, right, I'd like to access the channel service, right? So if I say this is a new one of those, and it takes a connection, sure, let's give it one of these, right? I can get the channel, right? User Discord invite. There we go. I've got on failure response received, request sent. So that's just connecting to the channel. So if I say get channel, it's going to give me an expanded channel model. All right, well, let's give it a channel here. Channel name is C# Fritz. Let's call it this. And what does that? That's awaitable, so we should await it, right? So we get an actual thing here. There we go. So now can I say channel dot? I have all these properties. Come on, give me no. So these are properties at a specific time. So this API, while I am connected to a socket, is not raising events yet. So I'm gonna end up using this timer just to reach into that channel and get it. And I think this I should promote to a yeah, I can't rename it yet, I know. I want to promote that to a field, and I want to rename it. So I'm going to do an F2 here and give it a underscore cap. So now when my timer fires, don't I have to give it a time? I do. My object that I'm passing. Well, my channel is off to the side. I don't need to pass that. Due time. The amount of time to delay before callback is invoked. This is to prevent the timer from starting. 0 to start immediately. Let's start in 5 seconds. And then the number in milliseconds, the period. So we'll go 5 milliseconds also. All right, so new follower check is here. And I also want to make sure when we stop that I kill the timer. So not just return the completed task now. I need to kill that timer. So I can do a timer, yeah, just timer dispose, right? And that'll stop it. And down here, when the new follower check happens, right? So I just want to update my current follower count is the number of followers. Now, I could raise an event if that number changed and push that event around, but right now we're just kind of pulling on all these things. So I'm okay with that. Now, I have my mixer channel name embedded here instead of coming out of configuration. That feels bad to me. Let me check my app settings. Did I allocate space for that? Oh no, I do. I have channel here. All right. So let me grab this property. Now, I'm going to put that in there. Now, to recap, when you have a settings file like this that's JSON and it's hierarchical, you can chain these elements together by putting colons in between them. So I wanted to reference my mixer channel configured down here. Well, that's from stream services, mixer, and channel. So I concatenate those 3 element names together with colons, and my configuration will know how to traverse and find that. So that works for this. And it should be getting that then from my app settings. Let me take a look. Now I'm using secrets with this. Let me take a look and make sure that my secret value is actually saved there. So manage user secrets. And these are the values that I'm not putting into source control, and it's already there. So I'm okay with that. All right. So we should now be properly checking and updating every 5 seconds my current follower count over here. So when I request it, coming out of over here, it should come back appropriately. Now that's a static up there. I don't want to just set it each time. I should do the interlocked exchange. Right? This way I don't accidentally trip over it. So I want to do ref. And the location that I'm swapping out is current follower count. So the actual field underlying this. And I'm replacing it with the number of followers that we got on the channel, right? So that way it's thread safe, even because it's a static thing there, and we have this timer firing in the background. Let's give this a shot and see if it works. And it is polling. This may be okay polling because I do want a total. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. And it does feel a little less than elegant, right? SignalR will give us certainly a much more elegant result here. And look at that. Something happened. I dropped my channel information here, and it's only got 174. It dropped the mixer count. Where did my mixer count go? Feels bad. Where did it go? So let me put a break there, and let's see if we actually hit this. I'm not hitting that, which tells me the timer isn't firing. Did I tell it not? I forgot to tell it to start. Don't I need to tell that to start? Come on, Jeff. What are you thinking? Right? What is it? Change? No. Start time and interval? No. Timer should start when I on get channel use the config string index, but missed the configuration string. Oh. Oh, you're right. Good catch. Good catch. Oh my gosh. Now it should get that out of my configuration and load it. And should still see that timer firing. You know, we'll figure that one out in just a little bit. So, okay, there's that. There's this. And my follower count. Okay, it's back to 219. There we go. So, and it did receive a number of followers, so it's still going to push that 45 over there. And it's going to be doing that. Thread safe. Fantastic. All right. I'm pretty happy with where that is. I think Chris is right. Let's start shipping it. So, let's kill this for right now. Now, I want this running inside of a Docker container. And gosh, that Docker container I'm going to need to pass a bunch of configuration into. Where's my app settings? I'm going to need to pass in the information about my streaming services. And I can pass those as environment variables in an environment string that I upload. It's going to be a little bit there. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Right? Because I think these are configuration things that either I want to save to disk and inject something. Let's get that Docker container building, and I want to put it into a private repository so I can start working on that without having it out there for everybody to see in the public Docker repository. So thanks for the catch, Bruno. I appreciate that. All right. So inside my Solution Explorer, and let me make this back to the full screen. I have a Docker Compose project here, so that I can build my ASP.NET image. I need to change my startup project to this one. Okay. And now if I run that, it actually builds in Docker, and we should get a Docker image saved. Oh no. What did I do wrong? What did I break? Visual Studio Container Tools require Docker to be running before building. Are you kidding me? I turned off Docker. Feels bad. Docker. Run. Alright, so my Docker containers are starting up. They're hiding behind the bar over there. And these are Linux containers still starting up. Come on. All right. Why is Docker for Linux taking so long to get started? Isn't Docker kind of been the it's been tricky for me. There you can kind of see Docker's starting up over here. I can get into my settings and it says Docker is running. Let me go back to my command line. Let's see if I can get, yep. So if I look at my images, so there's my Fritz Rundown project and a whole bunch of other things that I've been tinkering with. So let's try and build this now that I have it running. Here we go. Wow, that was quick. All right, so now it's pointing to this port. That looks good. Followers count 0 because it doesn't have my configuration information passed in for my client IDs or my Twitch stream or my Mixer stream. So I need to get that information into it. But I'm okay because it's behaving the way that I want it to for right now. So let me do a Docker PS. There, I can see it running. That's the one that I just built. And it's port 80 on the inside, but we're publishing that out to my machine on 32.768. I'm okay with that. Let's see if there's any other containers running. I've got a bunch of other ones. And I love the names of these, right? Objective Lumiere, Frosty Jones, Hungry Richie. Yeah, that's fun. I'm going to clean up some of these real quick. So let's get rid of that one. And Dog Fox, 7.5. All right. So there it is, and I've got it. It's sitting out there, it's running, it's doing its thing, and I'm pretty happy with it because it just runs, it just works. So let's shut that one down. I'm going to remove with a -F so that it stops and removes it all in one shot. And that's one dog, and it's gone. So let me do a Docker images one more time. This Fritz Rundown dev, I want to publish that because I think that has everything in it that I just built, right? Because it was created 3 days. Just to be safe, I'm going to nuke it and rebuild it, right? So that's a Docker RMI, remove image, Fritz.rundown. I think it's a slash? No, it's a colon dev. Cool. And it's gone. All right. Let me rebuild the image. All right, so we'll take a look at the output window and we see it building. Man, that builds fast. There it is. Fantastic. All right. Let's publish it. I want to publish it now to a repository so that I can use my other machine to load and be able to read and access that content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up a Docker repository on Azure and use those resources to host my image, and then I can update it and push it around, and then when I'm happy with it, that it behaves and feels properly, that image, I will publish it to the Docker Hub, the public Docker Hub, as Fritz Stream Tools or something like that, and then everybody can get it and use it. So I'm going to go over to Azure, and I'm going to sign in with my public account. And let's go. Look at all this junk I've got out here on my dashboard. That's fine. I don't care what you see over here. I need to find a Docker repository image, right? Private Docker container registries in, yeah, that's it. Docker registry, right? That's what we call them, right? Can I just find registry? Come on, I want to find that image. Yeah, container registry. Give me one of those. registry. Azure Container Registry. There we go. I want one of these. Yep, create it. Enter the name of my registry. Fritz Registry. Good. Subscription. Whatever. Resource group. Can I use an existing one? I don't want to. Look at all this nonsense I've got out here. Oh my gosh. Stuff from Ignite. Minecraft. Some other stuff that I was trying to build. Some training materials that I was writing. Put it in East US 2. Admin user. What's the admin user? What's this say? If enabled, you can use the registry name as username and admin user access key as password to Docker login to your container registry. That feels bad. I don't want to do that. SKU, standard, basic, premium. What are the differences? Provide the same programmatic abilities. Choosing a higher SKU will provide more performance and scale. I don't care about performance. It's just me right now. So let's create that container registry. And I should have one here in just a few seconds. Fantastic. Deploying resource group, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's create a new dashboard. Fritz stream resources. Done customizing. Nah, not yet. Find tiles by general. Yeah. Right? Sure, put a clock out here. There, I've got a clock. No, I'm not in Samoa. I am in Eastern Time, and I like 24-hour format. And I should be able to... Yeah, give me a smaller one there. That's better. I don't like the loss of information there. Video. Let's put my video in the middle of this. That'd be cool. All right. Not that. Did it finish creating? Deployment succeeded. Fantastic. Find it. And I'm going to pin this to my dashboard. Right, so there it is. There's my registry. Is there any more information? If I make it 2x2? No, it's just bigger. That's kind of lame. All right. So there it is. 10 gigabyte quota. Don't need 10 gigabytes. Access keys. Yeah, we're going to need that. And we're going to need my login to get on here. So if I check access keys, so it's going to log on to this. Now, what login is it going to use for me to get into this? Right, that was my username and admin access key as password. Right, if I enable that, right, I get these passwords down here, and that's my username. I mean, I guess that's okay for just me out here. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to drag this off screen just for a second. I'm going to, yes, copy. I'm going to hide some of these. No, you know what? How can I do this? How can I do this? I am going to... I'm going to leave this up here, but I'm going to browse to this on another machine real quick. This machine. And I am going to reset those so that you fine folks can't have my access keys. I trust you. I appreciate your pull requests, but I'm not sharing my access keys with you. Yep, changing it off screen. You got it. Oh, and it logged me in with the wrong account over here. Yep, this one. I'm just gonna change those real quick, and then I'll use those as my login here, so that I can push my image into that registry. And we'll see how that works. Yes. All right, access keys. Yep. All right, I've regenerated my access keys. I have copied It's on my clipboard now. All right. So now I can log into my new repository. So I do that with Docker login. It's going to hub Docker, wrong location. Right, I want to Docker login to Fritz registry.azure CRIO. Username is Fritz registry. We saw that. Password, I'm going to paste that in. Login succeeded. So now, excuse me. Docker knows that I am connected to that registry. So what I can do is I can tag this Fritz rundown dev. I can tag that instance and push it over to that location. So let's do that. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to Docker, is it Docker tag? Right, is that what I want to do? Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to tag Fritz.rundown dev. Let me give it an actual name, right? Let me give it an actual version number. Let me call it 0.2. Okay, so now if I look at my Docker images, there's my Fritz rundown 0.2, right? Because I want to pin that version. I don't want to lose it. When Fritz rundown dev is rebuilt, this one will still be around and available for me. Is everybody still alive on Twitch? We've got very few viewers on Twitch this evening. That's fine. Most of the folks that like to watch join in on the mornings here. I'm actually going to throw a tweet out there real quick. We're working with Docker and private Azure container registries. How do you spell registries? That's good. Live on stream at twitch.tv /Fritz. Let's see if we get some folks to join. Look at those mixer icons. Thanks, Chris. And let's see what we get here. All right, so I've got it tagged and I've got it pinned. This way, when a new image is generated, I'll still have it. But now I'm going to tag it and push it to my new registry location, Fritz registry azurecr.io. Now, the way to do that, right? Private, here we go. Container registry. I want you to see the documentation that's out here, because it's actually pretty easy to follow. So, right, I have this registry / and then whatever my container image name is, colon, and then the version I want to publish. So you tag it, and then I believe you just push it. So push your first image using the Docker CLI. So I don't need to do that because I did a Docker login. Push, run the container locally. Yep, we've already done some of that. Create an alias. There it is. And then push the image. Docker push. Fantastic. So let's do it. Docker tag. So Docker tag. And then it was Fritz registry.azurecr.io. I'm just going to copy this. Control C. There it is. And then the notation is to put a /. Right. Where did it go? Where did it go? I just tabbed away from it. And then he's putting samples Nginx. Fritz, I need to bounce to get my son from guitar practice. I want to reiterate how awesome your stream is. For someone just getting into dev, this is awesome. This is mcrank from Twitter. Thanks so much. I enjoy you. I appreciate you following. I enjoy your comments, and it's resonated with some of the folks on my team. We really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so let's put it to... I'm just going to call it... Fritz dot... I'm going to call it Fritz Rundown 0.2. Requires exactly 2. Oh, I didn't specify the source tag. Silly me. Fritz rundown 0.2. Got to make sure that's on screen for you folks because of my fat head over here. There we go. Best audience. Woohoo! Hey, Harp. How you doing? Hey. Harp? Who's Harp? All right. Let's see. That should do it. All right. So if I do a git, not git. Ooh. Docker images. There we go. Now we're getting... Right, so there it is, tag 0.2, and that's the one that I want to push. So all that it's saying to do is docker push. So let's do it. Docker push, and it was Fritz registry, Azure CR IO, fritz.rundown 0.2. And now it's pushing it out to my registry out there on Azure. That is so easy to do. We'll finish watching the VOD. Have a good one, all. Catch you later, Crankinator. Thanks so much for joining. I'll summarize some of these steps, put the link to the Azure docs for how we did this in the wrap-up blog post. So there we go. That was pretty easy, and now it's out on my Azure container. Hello Computer is now hosting my stream. Thank you, Hello Computer. I appreciate the host. Wintermute. This is wonderful, sir. Oh, thanks for joining us, Wintermute. I love the Neuromancer reference. Yes. Great reference. Oh my gosh. Love Neuromancer. That's a great book. So I'm just going to refresh here and see if it says... There you go. So it's showing now that there's something in my registry. I wish there was a way that I could see exactly what's in my registry here, because that would be pretty cool here. I can look at the activity log. Is it going to show me that the container was pushed? Written to the registry just now. That's pretty cool. What's it going to show me? Event initiated by... I know that guy. All right. Access control, tags. What's under tags? No tags. Okay. I've been a fan. Oh, thank you, Wintermute. I appreciate it. And if you didn't hear earlier, I just did a just did a podcast with Carl and Richard from Dotnet Rocks. We talked all about web forms, some of the new features, and that's going to be published on January 2nd, January 3rd, right there in the first week of the new year. So check it out when that gets published. I'm sure I'll link to it here. And I'm talking to the guys, see if I can trick them, get them into joining us here on the stream. But I don't see what's under repositories here. I want to be able to see my Docker images out here. Oh, cool! There it is. Fantastic. So I can see, and here's the tags of it. So I can see that my image was published out here, and I would be able to pull from there if I lost this machine for some reason. And in fact, that's what I'm going to want to do when I'm on this machine down here that actually is running the stream. So let me see. Is Docker running on this machine right now? Let me start up Docker on my production machine that's actually producing the show. And I'm going to move a console window into the screen here. See if I can start the service and hook up and get that followers number appearing properly for me. But I think I'm running out of time here. I'm up against... I like to keep things at just 2 hours here. Keeps things kind of pushing and right, keeps me focused on getting things done within a certain amount of time. I'm one of like 6 people to notice the reference. Ha ha! All right. See that? Where are the other folks in that chat room that don't know that Wintermute's from Neuromancer? Great William Gibson book. Phenomenal book. It's been forever since I've read it. I've got a copy on my bookshelf that's actually behind the green screen here behind me. I should pick it out and read it. But actually, the book that I am working on reading, here you go. This is an unpaid promotion here, but I'm actually trying to read this book. I've got the employee edition. Look at that. It's got notes and things from him about the hit refresh of Microsoft. I'm supposed to finish reading that this week. I want to finish it before the new year, only because folks at work are talking about the contents of it, and it's like, oh yeah, do you remember when we did this and they talked about that in the book? I'm like, no, I didn't read the book yet, so I got to finish reading the book. So let me see. Do I have Docker running down here yet? It says it's starting, and it does this weird thing where it's not. Right? Settings. It says it's still starting down here. And so my production machine down here I'm really pushing it because I'm running OBS and the music. It'll run Skype for me when I do the interviews coming up here, but it's not quite. I feel like I should have started Docker first. Right? Let me see. Here's my Docker screen. So Docker is starting. This is coming off I call it my production machine, but it's this Surface Book 2 that I have, whose screen is down here below. So, Oh, and Static Void Podcast. Oh my gosh, Chris, were you guys doing a podcast this evening? Were you doing anything with the fellas on Static Void? If you guys don't listen to Static Void Podcast, check it out. It's 3 friends, Chris Gomez, Todd France, and Jess Chadwick, talking about the latest and coolest things in .NET and giving their perspective as developers. They're recording tonight at 10:30. Then I better get off the line before you come on. Are you going to be streaming? Can I host that stream? Can I auto-host for you? If you're on Twitch, if you're on Mixer, I can't auto-host that. Right? Mixer doesn't have that feature yet. Feels bad. We're going to be on YouTube, maybe Mixer. So I use Restream.io. I have a link to them over in my blog post to how I've got set up. Restream will let you hit both YouTube Live and Mixer when you hook up OBS to it. So you can give that a shot. Winterbeat, when I told some of my old coworkers about web forms bundling, they were so surprised they had no idea it was a thing. Web forms bundle. You're talking about the JavaScript bundling and the CSS bundling. Oh yeah, that's been around for a while. Really neat stuff. And it's something that you pay the Webpack tax to do in Node, right? Webpack makes me kind of twitchy the way that thing is configured. Just tons and tons of JSON, and you have no real way to know if it works until you just keep running that compiler, and eventually it just starts working. This is not gonna behave for me today, is it? Let's see if I can get. All right, so Docker is working over here. Can I do a Docker images? So there's my dev branch of the Fritz rundown that I started 7 days ago. I'm going to yank that, okay? So let me do a Docker RMI, remove image, and I'm going to yank that one. Fritz rundown dev, gone, right? If I do a Docker images, good, it's gone. So now let me log into my Fritz registry and pull down that other image over here. So that was Docker login, and it was Fritz registry Azure cr.io. Cool. And it was Fritz registry, and I should be able to paste and have that same password. Oh, I don't have the password here. Do I still have the password somewhere over here? Let me copy that. Do this one more time. Fritz registry. Paste in the password. Fantastic. Got it this time. So now I should be able to do a Docker pull fritz.rundown. And it should give me repository does not exist. Wait a sec. Okay. I need to pull from Fritz registry dot Azure cr.io. Invalid reference. Wrong / format, right? Error response from Damon. Latest not found. Oh, I didn't tag it latest. Oh. Well, there we go. Pulling that down. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's gonna work. What's your channel name? Question mark. I had something wonderful happen. So I think Bruno's asking Chris, what's going to be the channel that you're hosting? Do you want to share a link to where you'll be hosting your Static Void podcast this evening? Wintermute. I had something wonderful happen earlier that I think would make me smile. By the way. Okay. Give me a shot. What do you have? If I do Docker images, there it is. Okay. So that works for me, and it was just created 22 minutes ago. Let me run it. So if I do Docker run, can I just say fritz.rundown? 0.2. I'm going to do an ITD. I need to give it a name, right? Name. And let's call it Stream Tools. Right? Unable to find image. Ugh, I gotta put the whole prefix in front of it? Ugh. Fritz registry. Azure CR.io. Okay, so that looks like it started. Let's see. Wintermute says, I had a meeting with our VP of technology, and he said, you don't have to feel nervous. You've earned the right to be here. Nice. May not be on Mixer tonight, but we use Google Hangouts, so it automatically ends up on YouTube. Cool. All right. So it looks like it's running. So if I do a Docker PS... Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm so congested. So it looks like it's running, and it's on port 80. That's not going to work. I'm going to need to push that back and forth here. Right, I'm going to need to pass through my port that I want it to listen on. So when you specify a port, it goes outside in. Outside, what's the port on the outside you want to listen on? Let's listen on 8000. What's the port on the inside we want to map that to? We want to map it to 80. All right. So now if I do a Docker logs on Stream Tools, I should see that it's doing something, and it's not. Yeah, there's nothing there. That could be a problem. All right, so let's do a Docker run. No, I don't have to do a Docker run. It's listening on 8000. So let's just go and see if we can get that page. So here's my browser on the local machine. So let's go localhost 8000. Nope, didn't find it. Son of a gun. All right. And there's nothing there. So that tells me I didn't bundle this up properly over here. Right? If I do over here Docker PSA, well, it's there, it's up running. So let me shut that down. Let me do a Docker oh no, wait. Visual Studio is holding that. Go away. Stop. Let me shut that down. So Docker rmf, and that's Charlie 9. Let me rerun it again. So Docker run itd fritz.rundown dev. I just want to see if it's running, right? Docker logs, and that's alpha 4. Yeah, it's not actually running anything when I browse to that. So I've done something. I don't have something lined up here right. Even though I published that image to my private repository, it's not actually running and doing something in there. I need to figure out what's going on. Can I do a Docker exec bash on A4? Oops, I get that backwards all the time. It's my container name, A4, and then what I want to execute. So let me get the bash script. And you know what? I'm hung. Yeah, I can't. So there's something not quite right about that container that was generated. And if I look at my, where is it? Where's my Docker file? There it is. If I look at my Docker file, it should be running .NET and then my rundown. So it looks like I need to do a little bit of work here. I think I'm going to reach out to my friend Glenn Condren and see if I can get some input, some feedback here as to what I'm doing wrong, because I should be able to just publish this container and start working. I think that's where I'm going to stop here tonight. I appreciate everybody who jumped on here late in the game and all the folks who started following us this evening. I really appreciate all of those new followers. And it looks like, see now my Twitch dashboard doesn't update with the number of followers automatically each time. But it looks like, according to the count up there, we're at about 174 followers over there. And I know there's somewhere in the 40s right now on Mixer following us. I really appreciate everybody who's joining and who's following and keeping up with this. I'll write the summary blog post. We'll get this video published over to YouTube. I hope you stay with me. We'll figure out what's going on here with our Docker containers. Next time, might be Thursday morning or it might be Saturday morning. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that Thursday morning stream in. I hope to see you then. Keep an eye on Twitter. Keep an eye on your information there on Twitch. Wintermute, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And per Ardua ad Astra. I don't remember that. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining in. I'll see you next time.